What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the 1796 Sports Podcast. Joined by Jim tonight. We got a lot to talk about. March is here. Um, Conference tournaments are underway. Baseball's still going strong. Um, and we'll find out here soon what Tennessee is looking like for the tournament here in about a week's time. But most recently, Tennessee men finished off the regular season yesterday with a 10-point win over South Carolina. Frustrating game at times. If they just hit their daggum free throws, it would have been a laugher. They would have covered the spread. But what'd you think about that game on Saturday, Jim? Senior night.
It's tough for me to say it was a good game because I'm not going to say you had a good game when you played a pathetic first half.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're playing like an Auburn or, you're in the Elite Eight and you're playing Houston and you play a first half like that. Good luck. You ain't going to win.
Mm-mm.
You're lucky South Carolina wasn't the South Carolina from last year because I feel like we would have lost.
Yeah.
Now, lucky enough, second half looked a lot better. Chaz Lanier obviously took over, which you could confirm the whole first half. I'm like, where's Chaz? Like, where's Chaz? Why is he on the bench? Why is your
Yeah.
leading scorer on the bench? But, you know, can't get mad at a win in SEC play. Good way to finish it out. 10-point win senior night. Again, can't have first halves like that, especially in March. Cannot. That is just, and I understand we were tied going into the half, which is great, but you should have been up 10. Like, that's just my opinion.
At least 10. I mean, like you said, we're talking about the worst team in the conference. Um, and they just, like they've done many times this year, just looked like they weren't ready to play from the get go. And it's kind of the story of this team. But as much as they've, started bad, they've shown an ability to get it together in the second half and pull out wins even when they don't have their best stuff. So it's really a microcosm of the season to me. And I wrote about it today for the website. We came on here on January 29th, the game or two after that Kentucky loss at home, sitting at 4-4 in conference. And we talked about the rest of the way, the 10 games remaining. And we asked for 7-3 or 8-2, and they went 8-2. So they were at a crossroads. And then you had Florida come into town, and they did the 7 scholarship players beat them by 20. So, like I said, I mean, back is against the wall. This team has responded all year on a small scale and a big scale. So I think as much as starting bad is bad for March, doing what they've done in second halves is good for March.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we would hope Josh Heupel would do in the second halves. You know,
Yeah.
like Rick Barnes. I don't know what he does. I don't know if he goes, opens up his holy water, and just starts
Yeah.
just flicking it on everybody. Something goes on. Does he beat them up? I don't know. But they come out and they look like a team that's going to win the national championship in the second half.
Yeah.
Now, if they could put it together a whole game like that, we're talking a team that you're looking at as a good chance to win the Natty. But you got to have Felix Okpara not getting into foul trouble. You have to have him on the floor. He's got to stay out of foul trouble. Cade Phillips, let's talk about him because no one's talking about how great he played in a spot. He had to come in and contribute because if you
Yeah.
didn't have Cade Phillips, you're looking at a team that probably would have lost that game.
Yeah. I mean, number one, Felix has got to stop jumping. Like he's got to stop trying to block everything. Um, Sometimes your presence is enough to alter a shot. Like you don't have to get your hands on everything. I mean, he would probably have, 2 or 3 less fouls a game if he just stayed disciplined in that way. But like you said, Cade Phillips, when he was asked to, contribute and really affect the game, he did. I mean, he finished with 15 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 4 of them were dunks, 2 of them were alley oop finishes that he got fouled on. He had 2 alley oop and ones. One of them hugely important at the end of the half to get the game tied. Um, but I also want to shout out Chaz Lanier. He normally does this. I mean, this is the thing about Chaz. He's streaky, and he goes on these spurts where he's unstoppable, and then he has the ability to disappear as well. But luckily, he had a spurt that was good enough to get us ahead yesterday in that second half.
He also hasn't been disappearing that much.
Not as much recently, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like he found his groove, which he's found his groove at the perfect time. Because we're gonna need him to be like a Dalton in March play. I'm not necessarily worried about the SEC tournament. I'd rather you stay healthy for the big tournament. But I mean, we got a double bye. Most likely, we'll see Auburn in the semifinals if everything goes good. I mean, you're going to play probably Texas A&M, which is a good basketball team on a neutral floor. I mean, really, it's kind of a home game for Tennessee because it's in Asheville, but still, I mean, stay healthy. Tennessee does have a good opportunity to win the SEC tournament, but again, honestly, I'm thinking March because this could be your final run. At a 99% chance, this is your final run with Jahmai, Ziegler, and Gainey, and you're gonna have to. It's gonna be a tough show next year because what happens is. I don't know if I'm switching topics too fast, because I do kind of want to talk about it. Are we starting to think Rick Barnes is done after this year? Because I've always thought when Zakai's gone, Rick's gone. Yep. And if Rick stays another year, you're revamping this team. Like, completely overhaul. You have 3 of your main guys. 4. Chaz Lanier, he's gone too. So you got 4 big-time guys. Igor, 5. You have 5 guys done. Like, there's a guy his age he's going to have to utilize the portal. And I don't know if you're going to get a Rick Barnes type of team. Like, I understand when you find one guy like Chaz or a Dalton, but 5 guys, including a point guard, like.
Yeah. It gives me hope that he did it last year, kind of, because you lost Vescovi, Josiah, Dalton, Adu, Awaka. Yeah, I mean, you're replacing
All-American point guard, defensive player of the year.
I mean, I would say it's as big as having to replace Dalton's production. Yeah, if not more important. But
so I'd say times 3 because. Like Igor, I feel like you could replace the big men, but like finding a Zakai and finding a 6-man like Jordan Gainey and a defensive guy like Jahmai is going to be rough.
Yeah, but he, like I said, he's done something similar. I mean, I don't know how you'll feel about this, but he had to replace Jonas Adu too. I mean, he was our 3rd leading scorer last year. I mean, he went out and did it. He had to replace 2 seniors. He had to replace those minutes. I mean, he's done it. And another thing that gives me confidence that this might not be Deacon Barnes' last ride is that he has 2 guys from the high school ranks committed too. So it seems like he's not going to call it quits yet. But, I mean, like you said, he loves Zakai. He loves Jahmai. So if it does come to pass that Rick Barnes' time is up whenever – Tennessee plays their last game this year, it'll be a tall task overall for whoever the new coach is, and even if he does stay, it'll be a tall task.
Who are we going to talk about? Like who? How much money is Danny White really willing to lose on a basketball coach to replace a Hall of Famer? I mean, you're replacing a Hall of Famer. I know everyone's talking about Bruce Pearl, and he's always going to come back to Tennessee. No, he's not. You're gonna have you're gonna have to throw some massive money to get Bruce Pearl to even look. It's not even. You know what? Bruce Pearl could do it, and he could bring his team with him. But that's a lot of money. Bruce Pearl's got a powerhouse over there. I mean, he's got a better atmosphere, in my opinion. But a lot of people talk about Nate Oates. I would not be. I feel like Nate Oates could be persuaded to come over, but I don't know if I'm even a big fan of that hire. I'm not
Uh,
even that big of a fan of him.
yeah, I will tell you something. Um, Rick Barnes gets paid more than Bruce Pearl right now, so um,
How much though?
by like $300,000. I mean, it's it's like you said, it's highly unlikely that that happens. Um, and of course,
I
this
feel
is, I
like it
mean,
could happen
yeah, I mean, I think it was way more likely to happen,
this
you know,
past year.
or when we hired Rick, but he was already at Auburn at that point, and weren't gonna go back to Bruce, 4 years after running him out of town for having a barbecue. So
It
you know,
kind of reminds me of Tony's situation,
Bruce
where
at Auburn,
where like you could offer him a blank check, and he'll say no because he's created such a you know powerhouse over there, and Bruce ain't leaving college. Bruce will be he's a
no,
college guy,
yeah,
so
he's on up there in age too, but you know, none of this has happened yet. It's it all depends on what Rick is feeling. So I want to talk about the seniors for a second. The two that have been here for 4 years. Their impact on the program has been tremendous. I mean, they've won 60 games in TBA and lost five. They've won over 100 games now, 25 wins a year since they've been here, which is wins wise, it's the best Tennessee has ever been with these two seniors leading the way. Jemai gets the Torchbearer Award, which as an alumni, I mean, that's the highest honor you can get as a student there. And I think it's only four basketball players who have ever gotten it. Um, and then the whole story with Zakai and Tennessee fans paying for his home after it burned down, a new home after his
mhm.
home in New York burned down, and then just the way that Rick talks about them. I mean, it's going to be hard to replace those two. I mean, these guys have given their all for Tennessee.
Now we talked about it before we came on here, but I want to put it on the record. I think those three guys, because I think Chaz could be a second rounder in the NBA draft.
Yeah,
But those three that we just well, including Gainey, but Meshack and Ziegler, why not wait to see if that goes through the appeal for getting that extra year? Because to me, both of them will be playing in Europe somewhere,
yeah,
and you could get NIL money to come back. So I feel like it's worth, waiting that little bit to see if maybe you could play another year at Tennessee. But like I said, if Tennessee ends up winning the Natty, which it's a hard task, I'm not saying they're going to, but let's say they do, then they're not coming back. There's no point. You ride off into the sunset, go play your basketball, and call it quits.
yeah. It's it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, but for now they still got work to do. So I mean, you've already mentioned the SEC tournament. Like I'm not gonna be happy if Tennessee loses on Friday. Um,
Oh
but it's not.
God,
But
not
it's
again.
yeah. But it's not gonna be the end of the world either. Like you
You're a
just
2 seed.
mentioned. Yeah, I don't think you can do much to get off the 2 seed line anymore besides winning the SEC tournament. I think that's the only way. And even then, you might still be a 2 seed. I mean, just based on what we've seen in the past from the committee. So it's I'd like for them to have success and get a trophy, but we've
It's
had
gonna be
our
tough.
best. And it's going to be tough, and we've had our best runs in the big tournament. Losing early in this godforsaken ritual they call the SEC tournament. I mean, Auburn won it last year. They didn't move them off a 4 seed line, and they lost in the first round. Like, it doesn't mean it's not everything.
Yeah, and the latest bracketology that I saw, Tennessee's in a good spot right now. They out of the draw,
Yeah,
they have the best draw when it comes to the region, and I'm kind of hoping it stays that way because Tennessee can make a run there, maybe get to a Final Four, but some of these brackets look insane because the teams playing. A lot of people don't understand. Like Michigan State, good. Michigan's going to be a tough game. You're
Yeah.
looking at I don't even know if they're going to make it this year, but Ohio State's good. Purdue's another tough one where, yeah, there's no Zach Edey, but it's still a good team. I mean, Braden Smith is like a Zakai Ziegler, and Trey Kaufman-Renn and Fletcher Loyer are still there. You got a lot of good teams. Iowa State's good. Houston's good. Kentucky's giving you problems. What happens if you run into Kentucky in the Sweet 16? They beat you twice already, and you just don't have an answer for them. So, it's going to be a tough road. A lot of people don't realize how hard it is. It's like the College World Series. The World Series is hard. Probably the hardest thing to do is win a regional, super regional, and then go to Omaha and win. But March is same thing. Tough. Very tough to win. Yep. And, we're not even talking about Duke and Auburn yet. So it's like...
Keep Tennessee out of their regions, please. It all depends on the draw. I mean, you just talked about it. I mean, if we run into a team that, is athletic and can shoot, I mean, we might be out early. If we run into some Cinderella like we've done in the past with Florida Atlantic and Loyola Chicago and Sister Jean and all that garbage, it just depends on the draw. But Tennessee can, I think Tennessee can be anybody in the country. And I also think they can lose to, anybody who's a 10 seed or higher. Like it's just all going to depend on how they're playing and who's in front of them. I mean,
I kind of don't like the bracket I just seen, Ryan.
The one I'm looking at from Joe Lunardi has us in Duke's region, and
with playing Georgia in the next round.
Georgia or Louisville, yeah, and we beat Louisville. Yeah, but it's
Georgia's
always
playing hot.
Yeah, Georgia's been on a run to get even in position to be in the tournament, right? Projected right now, and it's always hard to beat a team twice if it's Louisville, and then you play. I'm not afraid of the Sweet 16 matchup in that region, but I just don't like the idea of having to go through Duke most likely, because that's the team that I think would give us a lot of trouble. Like if we can't guard Brakefield from Ole Miss, who's going to guard Cooper Flagg?
Yeah. What are you going to do? Throw Jemai on him? I feel
that's
like
probably,
you have to.
You
have to.
That'd probably be your best bet. But
Chaz ain't guarding him.
No. Igor would probably struggle too. I don't think he's fast enough. But a lot of teams are going to have this problem. It's just not just Tennessee. So
I'm looking at the Midwest bracket. Alabama is going to get. I mean, the next second round looks like they're going to get Arkansas or Kansas. I mean, that's tough.
That's a lot scarier. Yeah, that's a lot scarier than where Lunardi has us now. But
and then they got St. John's if they make it to the Sweet 16. Oh my God, that's rough.
St. John's is like North Tennessee. Like it's defense and more defense and score enough to win.
I think Florida has the easiest bracket out of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to see Gonzaga as an 8th seed, but past that, it's not terrible. But again,
that was good.
These are all projections right now. Thank God. So
thank God. Yeah, let's see how but like you said though, they're really going to take the tournaments, the conference tournaments, into play, or if not, they're going to probably pretty much stay the same. I kind of hope Tennessee gets into that upper West bracket because I feel like they'd be better off that way, but I don't mind our draw right now though. Like you said, I kind of like Iowa State, Michigan, we could beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're looking at probably Duke or I don't even know who else, but
I think UConn can come out of that. I mean, it's UConn, and then Wisconsin could come out of that on the other side of that region. But I think if any year they were going to take the SEC tournament into account, it would be the year where every damn game in the thing is a quad one win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it could be more important than we're putting on, but we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
I think whoever gets um if any of those top four teams win the tournament, Auburn, Florida, Alabama, or Tennessee, I think they're one seed. Um,
Well, I think Auburn's a 1 seed regardless, but
yeah, and I think Auburn and Florida are regardless. I was about to say that. I don't see them giving the SEC 3 1 seeds though. That's the only
so you're
thing.
saying if Tennessee or Bama won, you don't think one of them sneaks a 1 seed? I think they could, because if Houston loses early. If Houston wins their conference, then I'd say Houston's going to be the 1 seed. But if
Yeah,
they lose their conference and Tennessee or Bama win, then I'd be like, okay, well, they just played in the toughest bracket and won. Then I'd
yeah,
say, okay, maybe Tennessee sneaks a 1 seed. But
yeah. I think Tennessee and Alabama would need help, but if I was making it, I would make them a 1 seed no matter what happens with Houston because that would mean you've beaten
Auburn.
really good teams to get there. Three really
Tennessee
good
needs to
teams.
beat Auburn to even get to the championship.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's if Auburn goes on to the semis. But
It'll be a fun week to watch. I mean, this will be the first time in a while that I'll be watching on Wednesday night because the bottom four teams are still entertaining to watch for the first time in a while. Like,
oh yeah, because with the first one you got Texas versus Vanderbilt, right?
I think the first one is I think the bottom four are South Carolina, LSU, Texas, and Oklahoma. But like I said, even them are decently entertaining to watch. I mean, in the past, it's been like some 9-22 team on Wednesday night. So, you know, and Thursday will be where you'll see your teams like Vanderbilt and Ole Miss and A&M, Missouri, Kentucky be playing. So you'll have to be locked in. Like I think the first game that I'm looking at now, now that we have 16 teams in it, there's 4 games on Wednesday. So it's South Carolina and Arkansas first, um, Texas and Vanderbilt game 2, LSU and Mississippi State game 3, and Oklahoma and Georgia game 4. Um, I mean, those are 4 good games right there. And,
I
of
ain't gonna
course,
lie, bro. That'd be a fun tournament to go watch in person.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of don't want to go because of how we, you know,
No,
what
dude,
what we watched last year.
tempt me. I will go. I'm not playing because I'm telling you, like this SEC tournament. I understand that Tennessee's, got the double bye. You're gonna play a tough, probably an A&M,
Yeah,
but that game was gonna be a slugfest. Last time we played them, it was a slugfest.
yeah.
And to play Auburn the next round, I mean, come on, this is like prime time March.
I mean, it's the first time in a while that you could even have the conversation
Tickets
that
are cheap
winning.
too, bro.
Yeah, it's the first time in a while that you can have this conversation that winning this might be harder than winning the NCAA tournament, especially if you're not a top 4 seed. Like you're gonna have to win
Yeah.
4 games instead of just 3 to get it. I mean, it's gonna be nuts. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to watching it, even when Tennessee loses, and hopefully it's not at all. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
well, would you take a conference title just to get to the Elite Eight but lose? Or would you take a
I'll
first
take
round
a
exit to get to the Final Four?
I'll take a trophy. I'll take a trophy any day. I mean, we've seen the baseball team do this last year. I mean, just because you win it doesn't mean you're going to be dog tired. And I know basketball's a lot different, but I'll say this: if it means we still stay on the 2 line, I'll pass. But if it means we get a 1 seed,
Yeah.
I'm locking it in. So, any more thoughts on basketball, man? Before
Nope. Just
this,
stay healthy, please, God. Please.
yeah,
You've done it all year except for JP. Like, just stay healthy. That's it.
yeah. I mean, that's the most important thing because, like
Oh yeah,
like
you
we
got
like we've said, besides winning it and getting some help, you're probably going to be a 2 seed no matter what happens. So that's the number one priority. Is get out of there without any debilitating, heartbreaking injuries.
oh
So
God.
yeah, I know. Um, baseball team. Best start
let's,
ever.
let's talk about it. It's the best time of year.
16-0. Just finished off a 5-0 week, beating Radford, Xavier, and then who the hell we just play? Saint Bonaventure, 3 games in a row.
Yeah, Sandy Koufax Friday. I mean, like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, for a couple innings, yeah. But I mean, this team just looks better and better as they keep going here, and of course, we'll find out more in 5 days' time. First game of conference play against Florida in Knoxville, but
Thank God it's
so
home.
yeah, I mean, top 10 matchup right out of the gate. I mean, it'll be entertaining for sure. But how you feeling about these boys so far?
Again, I think this team. I'm not going to compare them to last year. Last year, obviously, they won the national title, and you can't compare this team to last year unless they win.
Yeah.
But this year, I don't know what it is, but the pitching seems to be really good, but the lineup is insanely deep. Like, the fact that you could have Reese Chapman coming up in the 6 hole, and then you have a Stone Lawless at your 8. That's
Yeah.
nuts. Shout out to Stone Lawless hitting 2 home runs today. The freshmen in general are playing fantastic. Manny, my favorite player on the team this year. That kid, defensively, excellent. The kid is smoking the ball, hit a grand slam the other day. I mean, Tennessee is the team of grand slams apparently this year. They were last year. They're already, what, 8? 8? And the record's 14. I could see that happening this year.
Mm-hmm.
15 games in or 16 games in, you're at 8. Like, what are we talking about? But overall, Levi Clark, shout out to Levi Clark. He's the best freshman in all of college baseball. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care what Auburn thinks, but like Auburn, you got to be good at baseball before you start talking. But yeah, this team's phenomenal. They definitely seem like the team that we all thought they would be. But hey, here comes the real competition. You're about to hit the SEC gauntlet. You're going to have a top 10 team in Florida coming to your house. And we'll see what happens. I mean, Liam Doyle, I'm not going to put him down either. I mean, the dude's throwing 10 strikeouts a game, 11 whatever it is. But you're about to you're about to play SEC competition, so we'll see.
Yeah. I don't it's hard to even find a concern right now for this team. I guess the one thing would be the defense. I mean, that's normally how it is with Tennessee because they're always good at hitting, they're always good at pitching under Tony. I want Curley to get off his little slump here, this little mini slump. It's not even really a slump, but he's been a little shaky lately defensively. He's not as hot at the plate, but he's still getting hits. But I mean, you really just struggle to find things to nitpick about this team. Do you think they'll go like they've been doing on Sunday in conference play with this by committee approach, the quintessential bullpen day?
I don't think you're going to be able to do it in conference play.
A lot of teams do. A lot of teams do.
I wouldn't feel I feel comfortable with it because we have plenty of good pitching guys. But why not? Why aren't we giving Dylan Loy a shot? Dylan Loy has looked fantastic out of the pen. Now I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's coming off something like an injury type thing. But again, we're not talking about AJ Russell. He's still throwing bullpens.
Mm-hmm.
What's his status when it comes to SEC play? Is he going to be in that rotation? Are you going to give him 3 innings against Florida? You know, that's another option. Dylan Loy, Nate Snead will probably be a pen guy this year. The way it's looking, Marcus Phillips has looked perfectly fine. Liam Doyle's locked in on Friday. Like you said, I don't know, man. You could do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have the arms to do it. But I really would feel more comfortable if you had a guy that could pitch 4 or 5 innings on a Sunday. Kind of like a Drew Beam, where, you know, obviously not Drew Beam. I would take Drew Beam every day of the week, but like Drew always gave you that 4 or 5 innings type of thing. and then you leave it up to your bullpen that last 4 inning stretch.
Yeah.
But they could do it. I mean, we have the talent to do it. There's no question about it.
Yeah. I don't mind however they decide to approach it because I trust Tony, I trust Frank. Um, it may be that just they're waiting for Russell to get back, and I think today Tony said that they're really looking more towards April instead of the first 2 weeks of conference play. So, um,
and that's fine if he's going to be 100% back.
yeah, I mean, I think that's what they want. I think if they do this by committee thing on Sunday, that the bullpen day in these first 2 conference series, and it doesn't go well, I mean, you have to look at AJ Russell. I think that's option number one on Sundays whenever he's back. But it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I mean, there's tons of good candidates, and it may just be that they want everybody to eat. They want everybody to be ready for whatever happens down the line. I mean, this is the time of year to do that too. But we'll find out how they approach it come next weekend. One game before then, middle of this week. I don't remember who it is. It's your midweek level opponent. But then the real show starts. West Georgia on Tuesday, and then, like I said, top 10 matchup. So
sounds like another run rule.
Do you have any worries about this team at all besides defense?
It's hard to nitpick them, like you said. It's just the team looks fantastic. There's no like hole in the order that I'm worried about. If I had one complaint, and I think I talked about it either before or we started recording, but like I feel like Levi Clark should be in that 1 to 3 spot. I think he's earned that as of right now. And I'm nothing against Hunter Ensley. Hunter Ensley's been perfectly fine. I just think that makes more sense to have a Hunter at like the 5 hole. That veteran, the 5 hole comes up and you have a guy on third with 2 outs. I like Hunter in that spot. But I think you should be getting Levi Clark as many at bats as you can give him. And I think Fisher's been fantastic. But no, I don't really have a lot to complain about this team, and it's kind of scary to be able to say that. Yep. But I feel like our tone will change after we begin SEC play, because like we've obviously seen them play against talented teams like Oklahoma State and Arizona. We've seen them, be fine with it. But the SEC is a different animal. I mean, everyone knows that. Florida's going to be their top 10 team. You're going to play LSU in Baton Rouge. You're going to, it's going to be a tough task. But yeah, I wouldn't say complaints about the team.
Yeah.
Like you said, defensively, I've always thought, I don't know what it is with Dean Curley, but he always fields the ball cleanly. His throwing is like, he just gets drunk for 2 seconds and he can't reach the bag. And it's like, he has a cannon too. Like, he throws hard. But like, I don't understand why that's a thing. But I mean, you do have Antigua. I just wish Antigua had Dean Curley's bat, because that would be quite a combo, and that'd be probably a first pick of the draft type guy.
Yeah, that'd be Derek Jeter type guy. I mean, it's I've always said I want him in the late innings come conference play, and they did that last year too. But
they've been doing that this year too.
Yeah, I always get on my soapbox before every true season starts. I consider this preseason for baseball until conference play, but national championship winning team lost their first SEC series last year, and people panicked. People said this team ain't shit. They ain't making it to Omaha. They ain't gonna do shit. Give them a chance. They didn't sweep anybody until like the 4th or 5th series in last year. It takes time, especially in baseball. I mean, baseball teams gel the more they go. I mean, people find their roles. They click. Pitching pitching is the biggest deal. I mean, when you're seeing way better competition batting wise as a pitcher, you might struggle a little bit, but it doesn't mean they suck. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but everybody try to stay positive, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, this team's very talented. Luckily, our first SEC battle will be at home. I
Mm-hmm.
expect it to be an absolute raucous crowd. Um, and like you said, you're not going to win them all. You just have to do good enough to get to that, hosting a regional and a super regional.
Yep.
And your goal should be is to win all your conference series, even if you drop one. It's fine. If Florida beats you 1 out of 3 games, that's fine. You won the series.
Yep.
Would it be nice to sweep them all and go undefeated? Absolutely. But what happened a couple years ago when our team was a powerhouse and you
Yeah.
ended up losing to Notre Dame? I mean,
They
it
flew too
happens.
close. They flew too close to the sun. Got burned.
Yep. So you just got to look at it. This team's good. Just give them a shot. You're going to lose games. I'm going to be pissed as well when we lose games. It's going to happen. I'm going to be calling for Tony's job even though I don't mean it. It's the way of the Tennessee Volunteer fan base. It's just it hurts us real bad when we lose. So
It should. I mean, why be a fan if you're not going to be disappointed for a little bit?
yeah, why can't we always go undefeated in every sport? You know?
Yeah. Um, spring practice has started for football,
Mm-hmm.
and Ricky Gibson was on the field, so I think he's going to stay, but you never know. Um, what are your thoughts on that whole situation and how it's progressed so far, Jim?
I think we've talked about it already, but I wish he didn't bring it public because that puts Tennessee in a bad spot. Because if he's because I've heard he's had the old I'm having second thoughts kind of thing. That
Yeah.
just means the kids got paid. He there's no ifs ands about, and don't get me wrong, he deserves the money because if Jamad McCoy is going to be out for a little bit, he's your DB1, like that's your guy,
Yeah.
and I understand giving him money, but he could have done it to where, hey coach, with all this happening, I'm either going to hit the portal or this, and you could have done it without all the noise. Because now it's either Tennessee, just you're going to have to do that for every player, or it's going to be, hit the road, Jack.
That's the thing to me is, where does it end? Um, it's weird the way he did it. I mean, it's like you said, I wish he would have just kept it quiet. And if he wanted to leave after spring practice, leave. But it's almost like what people do in the NFL, where they want to sit out, training camp because they're wanting a new contract. I mean, that's basically what he did. But he ended up, being on the field. So I think that is a good sign. But I don't want Tennessee to be leveraged by these dudes anymore. Like at some point, you have to draw a line in the sand. But you know, it's just the state of college football now, college sports really. I mean, you're going to
Yeah.
have situations like this, and Tennessee, for the most part, doesn't lose guys they want to keep in the transfer portal. Like we kept Brooke Carter, we kept Mike Matthews, kept a few other guys throughout the years. And I think Ricky's the guy they want to keep. I mean, he started every game last year. He was a really good performer. He had really good grades from PFF if you want to look at it that way. I mean, he made plays. He started in the SEC for 13 games. So if it was up to me, I'd want to keep him, but I would also take into account, like, if I do this for this guy, who else is going to come wanting a new
Mm-hmm.
NIL deal in 2 days? So
The problem is they have to fix it to where if you get a contract, you're on that contract. There's
yeah,
no next year up. I want a new contract. Because what happens if Blue Carter does really good this year, but he's like, oh, he's not high on draft boards, and he goes, oh, I'm going to stay another year, but I want a new contract. You have to
yeah,
give him more money. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd probably pay Boo because that kid is an unreal athlete, fantastic player. He played good his freshman year, but it is what it is. What happens when David Sanders has a phenomenal freshman year and comes back? He's going to want more money because tackles are getting crazy money nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And David Sanders looks phenomenal. The guy looks like a brick shithouse.
Yeah, he
Um,
belongs. He definitely looked like he belongs.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm really liking how our offensive line might be shaping out. Because from what I've heard from Eric Kane on his Locked On Vols talking about how big Mo is.
Yeah,
And just having him, the way it sounds like, is probably it's going to be Hurd on left tackle. It's going to be Mo on the left side guard. Probably Satterwhite as the center. Pendleton on right guard and David Sanders on the right tackle. To me, that sounds fantastic.
yep.
And between Pendleton and Mo, they don't really give up a lot of sacks. The guy I'm looking towards is Lance Hurd. Lance Hurd needs to protect Nico's blind side, but from what I've seen /heard is that Hurd is looking a lot more in shape than he was last year. And I think
Better
that was
be.
his problem. I think that was
Yeah,
his problem was he was just getting gassed and he was so tired to where he couldn't. Because I can't. Nothing will ever make me forget about that Oklahoma play, where like he just didn't block. He was just like,
well, that's the
what
game that he sat out. If you remember,
no, what game was that then? Because I'm
the
pretty sure it was
Arkansas game.
Arkansas. That's the team. That's the team that we were playing where he just was like, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
block. I'm gonna do a little dance and look like I'm gonna block, but I'm not gonna block.
yeah. I mean, if there's a few guys that if I could choose to like make them an all SEC performer, I would do it. Like if I got like three choices, it'd be Nico, probably one of the safeties for the love of God, and then third one would be Lance Hurd
Yeah.
because he has to be protected. Like it's so it's a good sign that what's we've heard so far after I think it's just one day of practice is good. So um, heard anything else out of spring practice? I haven't heard too much. I just wanted to touch on the Ricky Gibson
Well, apparently
situation.
they're not gonna really get. I think they had like 6 minutes of being out there with the media
Yeah,
being out there, but I know they, according to Eric Kane, they're gonna have a lot of time to be out there tomorrow. So we'll probably get more info out on there. But no, I mean, again, we didn't really get much info about practices. Maybe one day 1796 will be allowed to be a media outsourced to where we could actually get hands on,
yeah.
stuff.
Hands on reporting.
Listen, Brent Hubbs, you're about to retire. You're about to go off into the sunset. Me, Ryan, and Bryce, we got you.
Here. You got anything else tonight, man?
No, again, people, we're not going to win every single baseball game. We're not going to, we're probably not going to win the SEC tournament. It's not the end of the world. What happens, in March is what matters. Late March in the big tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vols are looking up in every sport. It's very nice to be a Tennessee Volunteer right now. Don't take it for granted because it all could disappear very, very fast.
Yeah.
So
My official stance is, as it always is every year, is make the second weekend, roll the dice for the tournament. As far as baseball goes, I think we will win that Florida series, whether it be 2-1 or sweep. And as for the Lady Vols, I just hope they get right. But we don't have to talk about that tonight. That's depressing. So
I think they'll
last
be
words.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first real adversity that they've faced really this year. So I mean, they have no choice but to get it fixed if they want to do anything in the women's tournament. So, but yeah, like I said, I don't really want to talk about that. It's depressing.
Yeah, it is what it is. But hey, it doesn't matter. SEC tournament, whatever. Um, I think the Lady Vols will make a Sweet 16, maybe an Elite 8 run. I'd
Yeah,
be happy with that. I'd be really happy with that with the roster you have now and the people you have coming in next. So
yeah. I mean, it's just they have the talent. It's just for whatever reason they've hit a wall really. I mean,
their defense bothers the shit out of me.
yeah. When it doesn't work, it really doesn't work.
Yeah.
The aggressive press, but that's all I got, man.
Me
Go
too.
Vols.
Me too. Go Vols, baby.